So now I'm going to go to the model space over here, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. Notice what you see here. Yours might be a different size. This is because I've got 3 different scales going on. So I've got a 1 to 1, 1 to 2, and 1 to 4. Okay, so I'm going to delete that. Now I'm going to go ahead and start dimensioning this first one. When we dimension, remember what I said about we have to dimension between views. We don't want to get confused of dimensioning across the view. So we want to keep all of our dimensions in this area here. So I'm going to start with a linear dimension on this object, not aligned, but linear. And I'm going to snap from endpoint to endpoint, and I'm going to set it here. Now, it would be the easiest thing to use is the baseline. So I'm going to use the baseline. If you pull this down, you can click on baseline, and look, it starts from the last, the dimension I started with, and it already snaps everything to the offsets that I need, and it has the extensions that I need. And then I'm just going to hit enter to get the dimensions. Now I'm going to do the same thing going up. So I'm going to start a linear, and I'm going to go from endpoint to endpoint and snap one here. And then I'm going to click on baseline, snap here, here, and here. Okay? Now, remember what we said about not crossing the dimension lines. So to do that, you have this break command. So I can pick the line that I want, and I can break it. Helps to pick one first. Undo that. Notice which gets broken. Okay, I'm going to undo that. I'm going to break it again, and this time I'm going to hold this one, and I'm going to break this one, this one, this one. So it really depends on which one you're breaking. Now I can break this one. So I click on the little break symbol again. I pick this. Now I'm going to break it here and here. I'm going to click on the little break symbol again here and pick this one. So depending on which way you want to break the lines is up to you. Now the next one is I'm going to do a linear distance. So I only have to do distances or dimensions where I need them. I could have dimensioned it up here, but I'm going to dimension it over here, so I'm keeping all of my dimensions in one location. All right. Now I can come over to my layout. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these, and I'm going to move this over. I'm going to get rid of that scale. Double click on the inside. 1 to 1 apparently will not fit, so I'm going to do a 1 to 2. Notice what happens. Look how it stacks on itself. Okay, that is just too cluttery. Now this is usually why people use the just regular non-annotative. Now watch this. So see how I have 2 of them now? You can see the 5.5. If I grip one up, only one goes up. It's only going for the first one. The next one. And this is where you start to lose that standard. You know, the MS, American Society of Engineers standard. Sometimes you could do it through the viewport. See how you can see doubles? Pull it up. I always like to hold the scale 1 to 4, snap, 1 to 2, double click. I'm going to lock this. So what allows me, I double click on the inside, and this is why I don't like annotative, because it gives me 2 of them. Now, so what I'm going to do is, because I know I'm going to use 1 to 2 scale, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to modify this text. All right, so we know if we want the 0.12 as a text height and we're scaling it down by 2, that means we actually have to increase the size of the text to 0.2, whoops, increase the size of the text to 0.22. Basically, we're doubling the size of the text. So when we scale it down, it's the correct size that we want. The other thing that I'm going to do is on the fit is I'm going to uncheck the annotative, because I am actually telling the system what size text. I have to think ahead of what size text I want it to be. So if I want it to be a 0.12 in height when it's printed in the paper space, then I have to find what multiple of 0.125 is for the text height, if we're not using annotative. And most of us do that. We don't, because of the multiple texts, the majority of us do the unchecking the annotative and figure out the math. So if I said the text was 0.22, then I want the arrow size as 0.22. Okay, so I'm just I'm sorry, I can't do math. It's 0.24. Or if it was 1/8 of an inch, which technically is 0.125, I'm a little picky. It's technically 0.25 is double of a quarter. I keep saying quarter when I mean 1/8. 1/8 of an inch, so 0.25 for text and 0.25 for the arrow size. Okay, now the doubling of the extension beyond lines. Again, this has to do with the scaling. So if I want to have the proper scale, this has to be 0.25 also. Okay, and the spacing between should be double of 0.5. I'm going to click OK, set current, and close. Now it doesn't matter whether this is on or off. Okay, and you can see that this is still annotative because it was originally drawn as annotative. So I'm going to come over here. I'm just going to delete all of this and redo this one more time. Notice that there's no annotative symbol up here anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and do the linear, and I'm turning my O snaps on from endpoint to endpoint. Okay, and I'm going to notice I have 1 to 2 here. That's fine. And then I'm going to do baseline. Sorry, forgot. From here to here to here. Baseline. Oops. Have to do linear first. Here to here. Now when it snaps outside of that, you can actually grip edit it. So you select the dimension, grip the little blue grip in the center, and snap it between. Okay, that's fine. And then do baseline up. Endpoint. Endpoint, endpoint. Okay, it looks fairly large, but when it goes to print, it should look fine. So I'll go ahead and do the trims. Oops, I apparently got out of it. Here, using that to trim by. Pick, pick. I'm having problems picking today. Pick, pick, and then pick, pick to get the break in it. I don't know why that's not trimming. Let me see if I can go the opposite way. Alright, I'm going to leave it be for right now. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I have days like that. You can ask April. I'm going to see if the ones below it'll work. Pick that one, and pick that one. For whatever reason, this line right here will not trim. So you know what, I'm going to try it again. And I'm just going to go baseline, sorry, linear, endpoint to endpoint, and just bring this up to here. And now I'm going to do that. There we go. Alright, so now when I go to the layout, let me double click on the inside of here, and I can go, and I'm not worried about that, I want to go 1 to 2 and double click on the outside. Now you can see that the text, if I do a measurement of text height, I'm just eyeballing this from bottom to top using my ortho. Okay, it's approximately the right height. Now, if you need to, like this is a little pushed together, you can actually come in there and move it over. Give yourself a little bit of room. You can grip this and move them over a little bit. However, when you're working with, I should have locked that. When you're working with standards, you really should be careful on how you're moving information if you're truly required to set it based on a standard. Double click. I'm going to lock this one. Lock the viewport. And I'm going to make the window smaller. Turn my ortho off. And move that. Like I said, the 0.12 or the 1/8 of an inch of text is actually pretty big when you think of it when it goes to plotting. So I'm going to go ahead and change that. Practice dimension object 1. And I'm going to pull this out. And then I'm going to move it. As such, and the scale would be 1 to 2. Okay, Z enter E enter, or Z enter A enter for zoom all. And then I'm going to print this. Print, preview, and there, that's how it'll look. And then go enter. The text height is correct. I feel it's a little large, but if that's what the standard requires of a 0.12 text height, then that's what we're going to do. Okay, so you can always manipulate it to whatever size you want once you get into the industry that you're working with. So I'm going to pause here, and then we're going to start dimensioning, just practicing some dimensioning of the other objects here. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the other side. So we're going to start working on 2 and all the way up. All right, I'll be back.